Good evening and welcome to the Oglala Lakota College Storytelling Hour. This is Brian Charging Cloud, and this evening I was able to come up here because the weather is nice. The road is just about dry. Last week the road was absolutely terrible. And we couldn't make it up here. So it's but my nephew made it up here. Baha. He did the storytelling hour. So if you're listening, Hushka Baha Lila Pilamaya Yelo Lila Tayan Weagalaka Lila Washte. And then the other day, this week is summer spring break for the school that I work at, Wandini District School. So yesterday I took time and went to the Red Cloud School, and I visited Baha, my nephew, and he is doing a fantastic job over there. I really like what is going on over there for the Lakota language, and I was really impressed. So, Baha, you're doing a good job. And when I walked into that school, I went with my wife, and it's been a while since I went to back to Red Cloud School, and as soon as I walked through that the entrance, the new entrance, I was very impressed, and it just seems like it's a school setting, a perfect school setting. You walk into a nice, clean reception area. The receptionist was very friendly, welcomed us, and they told me where the Lakota language class was, and it was just really great to go back to the school and look around. So keep up the good work. It really makes a difference when you have that kind of like a setting, like you're going into a building that's really kept, like nice and clean, or I don't know, it just stands out. And the students were quiet. They walked down the hallways, they walked. Nobody played around. And while I was in that classroom, all the students were well behaved. They were all taking a test, and they all seemed to be really serious and really into the school. So that's makes it look good. I'm really proud of them. And it's for the Lakota language too, and they have Lakota words all over the school. Lakota words for like the door, the elevator, the windows, all over the school, and that was really, really good. You did a good job. And this evening, I want to say thanks to KILI Radio and my nephew Hercules. He's always up here, and it's good to see them again. And you are listening to KILI Radio, 90.1, right here on the Pine Ridge Reservation, and then 88.7 in Rapid City. I was in Rapid City this afternoon, and I listened to the housing show, and I always listen to that show because they always talk Lakota, and I always learn something from them. So, Lila ta wagalaka yellow housing. Wilbur and his staff. Washtelo. I always listen to live too, but because of my schedule, I wasn't able to listen to. I don't think he is doing his shows anymore. I don't know. I'll have to ask him. But I always listen to live too. Was dila tantan wagla kapelo. Ma ta erst na takun woambele zenesh takun nach und chasna. Dila yomak. Hotawastelo. And also the Oglala Lakota College is now into their midterm. So if you haven't studied or if you haven't been up to date, well, you'll just have to wing it. But study hard for the second half and get some good grades. It really goes fast. And this evening I have a story, one short story, and then I have a little article on the Lakota language revitalization. And then I'd like to touch on a subject that I have been doing. I'm just doing the very basic part of it, and I really enjoyed it. And I think especially that young children, like the ones in the kindergarten, the first grade, and the second grade, they really enjoy it. It's called the method is I think for all you teachers out there, Lakota teachers, this method has been around, and it's called total physical response, and I'll touch on it, and I'd like to share what I am doing. And there's you can approach this method in many directions, and it's up to each individual teacher how he approaches this method. And this method has been proven very successful because it actually really gets the children into action while they're learning. And that's why they call it teaching Lakota through action. And they're learning the English language, or if they're learning the Spanish language, they use this method. And so I'm using it to teach the Lakota language. Teach my first language. My second language is English. So I will touch on that later on. Nila lichta nila chtaetu washte na wana wetu ke aphajan jan uhinase pelo lewangata ke rauki Mikhailchuk tuahi Karen Mikhail Maka ke little wana pejitro stoe Mikhail wana pejiki ha tho enanaka sa ewana Otohan lechu hippie wanke jajab chon lecha na kun asna wa Mikhail lechu ke he ewana pejitro unkali kteloe ewana lecha na gopta na ka he wana pejitro ayali pelo Ana le wetu eluhi honipi. Ana le ta wi yamani wa he hane wana bloketu ektam kiayat. Na enach ja ke ptaetu etkum kiayat. Chataku ka vila ashna le han och ankha ye. Tahena taku echanung tahetji le hitagana iglu ya po nish Darne après pritasne. Le darne après pritasne que le nakun. Le Lakota ya pour le yohas ka he que le. Wana tona ki tuktek de waike ti wana le hane he Dawach Ashna Evolutionsa Ash Le Dueni Afreshnioya Dueni Echunktish Hotayachon Le Ashna Ilagnite Lakota Yapikile Tina Lakota Kile Lakota Yapikile Chejikile Het Makhaka Golohawahi Chanke Yotash le Wakhaja Kilena Togata Gale Yapikile Goldokiske Presa Dokiske Chunkpong Hais Dokiske Chamu Yukhan Lena the spiritual Kian Eta Etuchti Wanzichti Wogalakin. The Handless Takoja Ucham Kilena Islena Kunle Waya Tele Uchwani to Yamani Topa Zapt and Shak Kilena. Lene Talila Vichumpam Hantan Togata Kilena Inspect. He Tase Wapre Okise we Oko Wanzictisne. Après, wanji nis na kon petu ata yotas yacht. Was shit yakal immersion lan ok. Lehan na immersion ok. Kohe petu ata. Lehan le was kan kile le wanji tiwa se tamo hanta he après okisala. An petu yohila après okisala. Hetchega. Ata ish ale na lehan the Wuyuk Chankara, Hel Chambraska, Kekana, Nestle, Trancha. Nanash, le temps wanit, Waziki, le Ishale Prince and Tel, Wazile immersion, Apoy Hashkan, let us Ishale Chankpel, le Ishale immersion, Ektia, Hele Trosh, Nanash, le wanit to le Topa Zapta, Henevna, wanit to Shakpe. Rena, Shakoin. Because Chiata Ihunia, the Chinla Washutja, K8, Jonas Ata Hetus Yen. I had to be choice. Whereas, who held the hectares, Preki Hetus. 20 of Hepsnas to Christ, 20 at Chunktish. Nice Nako to take the Kiuna, Hecta one Chankop. Hemcaps, a Kakia Hetchum to Hetchmian, one Chankop, each one. Dunna kia wana makhasi domini awake lena leta ku etchunk ompi lena cha isya etchunk tuktek the hekta kia wani to music hamit hajuk chika Hawaii ya etchunk hecha le immersion schools lecha ke hanum waya kap lila iya wastelake hajuk mis ya ash ta komuni umkis ya lena etchunk onkoki Nakonka si hasapa hecha nakon hecha iaka hecha nakonwai and wine chablak. Tota enana kya le komani na wine chianka kish ala na lil echunko koki. We are doing it right here at the Porcupine Immersion, the Wandini District School. I think they're starting one up in Standing Rock. It's called the Sitting Bull School. And there's other schools that are doing this right now, and that maybe I don't know, because sometimes we're so busy that we don't know what we are doing, what our neighbors are doing. So maybe someday we should all. Another thing I always mention when I come up here is that we all need to maybe share and work together, and this is how we will get very strong. Maybe just everybody move in one good direction, or look around, look backwards, frontwards, up, down, all over. And don't just look in one direction, but all over. And everybody just work together. We need to all work together Hanale woki pajinesh woi wachtelashne. Is wona wizikele na elahiapsnas tokash. Hantanes dila wons akash ne yokpia. Ta ko chunkum ne yokpia chunkum. Ta kun chunk un elon chimsnenes ko oechun shitas elewachis noskan hantanes etc. Whatever we do, if we don't, if we're not happy, or if we don't like where we're at, or if we don't like who we're working for, or who we are working with, then whatever we do is not going to be strong. I just want to share those thoughts this evening. And before I forget, some of you are going home from work. Have a real good evening. The days are getting longer. It used to be dark about this time, but now it's daylight, and it probably will be daylight for another hour. And pretty soon it's going to be very hot about this time of the day. So now we're getting into the spring, and pretty soon we'll get into the summer. So I want to also thank the listeners on the internet, the KILI radio. There's people listening all over the world. So if you are listening right now, I will have a story in Lakota, and then I will translate it into the English language. And thank you for listening. This evening, the first one I'm going to talk about is, well, before I get into that, I never use that word shout out, but I will say good evening to Paha. I wanted to thank him, my nephew Paha. I want to thank him very much for coming up here. Whenever he has time, he always comes up here. Gives me strength, and he really adds to the show. And there's one reason that I always talk about when he's up here is that he learned the Lakota language. What kind of method he used, he shared that when he was up here. He told us right over the air here on KILI how the Lakota language can be learned. It can be done. And if you want to learn, then it's up to you. It's up to you plus whoever is your teacher is another one. Because there's a word called motivation. If you're not motivated, then it's going to make you weaker. And if you don't want to learn, then you're not going to learn. Before I get into that story, though, I have something here. I saw this on the wall when I went to Red Cloud the other day. And I think Baha had this, and he had it on the wall. It says, 10 things you can do to help keep the Lakota language alive. And this is for the Lakota people, okay, Lakota app. Number 1 is speak Lakota in every situation. Whenever you're asked, especially if you speak the language, and if you're asked to say a few words, or if you're the speaker, and I think we mentioned this at the summit, myself and my cousin Robert, set the environment. What that means is that use the Lakota language before you get into your speech. Set the tone. That doesn't mean like say some, maybe a story or things that will set the tone and make it interesting. Okay, speak Lakota. Number 2, be respectful to people. Be respectful because sometimes we have different, like that we have the D, we have the L. And number 3, encourage those members of your family who are not fluent in Lakota. And that's where I am very weak because I think I failed in that, number 3, because of I have 3 sons at home, or 2. One is very interested, and he understands, both of them understand, but both of them are not fluent. They can say words, they can say a few thoughts. That's it. It is very hard, people. It's hard. Number 4, whenever someone struggles to talk Lakota, again, here's the word, encourage that person by responding positively, even if they make mistakes. Okay, even if they make mistakes. Number 5, do not over-focus on mistakes in other people's Lakota speaking, because it is extremely discouraging for learners. Teach by example, by your use of the proper Lakota. Proper Lakota, that's hard too, because today there's some words that we shorten. Maybe it's because of the time. Like one example is doksha. Just that one word means that I will see you again, or I will see you later. Now, maybe a few years back, maybe 20 years back, we will hear like doksha akewanchen kitelo. But today we just use the doksha. So that's, to me, that's teach by example by your use of proper Lakota. That's it. Number 6, here's that respect dialectal and local differences in Lakota. Now, whenever I'm up here, I always say, especially on Saturdays, when this subject comes up, I always say that you can go to Standing Rock, you can go to Cheyenne River, you can go to Rosebud, and we all understand each other. And there's very little difference. There's some words that are different. Now, some of you out there probably will say, no, we speak different. Our Kyoshpai speak different. The communities speak different. But I have yet to hear someone that uses a lot of different words. So, from me to you, I don't see much difference. We're all Lakota. We all understand each other. There will be some words that are different. Number 7, support Lakota media, the KILI radio, the Lakota Country Times. Okay? Insist on your right to use Lakota because it is your nation's native language. It is your language, your first language. Your second language is English. Number 5, request that the local schools of your community offer Lakota language classes. Okay, that's up to you, each community, each parent, that's up to you. How long you want it, when you want it. But that's one of those 10 things. Number 9, if your children or grandchildren learn Lakota at school, help them with their homework. Ask them simple questions in Lakota. and encourage them by positive evaluation of their progress. Okay, number 10. Remember that growing up bilingually or knowing 2 or more languages is an advantage. That one, I think we mentioned that here over and over again. If you learn Lakota and you speak 2 languages, your first language is Lakota, your second language is English, you add another soul. That is an advantage. Children who are bilingual often have better grades. And that is true. There's research on that, and it's been proven that they have an advantage, they get better grades, and also they're adaptable to different social environments. And they easily solve complicated social situations. That's very hard. Moreover, knowing 2 languages enables people to see the world with the eyes of 2 cultures. Now that's something. So those are the Lakota 10 things you can do to help keep Lakota alive and strong. And with that, I'd like to touch on this. It's called the total physical response. Okay, I'm not going to go into the whole thing. I'm just going to get into just one page here. It's on the method. And we talked about this up here before. And I think Mahavir Tanahashi that's not here with us anymore. But he always says that when you to learn the Lakota language, you have to listen first. That's number 1. Number 2 is you listen and then you speak. Then you read and write. But today we really jump into we try to get right into reading and we try to get right into writing. So that's really up to you as an instructor or if you're teaching the Lakota language. Now, depending on the setting, who you are teaching. I wish my wife can say something about that, but I don't know if she will. She teaches Lakota 1 and 2. And I know that sometimes when we teach people that are in college, freshman, sophomore, or junior, senior, and they all have to take the Lakota, I don't know how many hours Lakota culture they have to take, 14, I think, 15. And the teacher, as teacher, we could be writing Lakota words on the whiteboard. We don't call it blackboard anymore. It's white, and they got these different. It's not chalk anymore. But so we're really not. According to this book is written by this lady named Bertha Siegel. She is a well-known in this method, this teaching the language through action, which is total physical response. And of course, the founder or person that wrote about the total physical response, and if you're familiar with total physical response, his name is James Asher. But the page that I wanted to go through is called the method. And it's just real simple. It says the language acquisition. Now, this is the first language acquisition. So this will be like like you and I as Lakota. In the first language acquisition, the baby is listening even before birth and continues listening and responding to commands without making any or many sounds himself. We allow the child a great deal of time to listen before expecting speech. Okay? Active, this is called active listening. And then the speaking part, the listening, the receptive, and then the speaking part, the expressive part. Speaking begins between the first and second year. We express great approval when a child produces a mama or dada after months of listening. During this time, the child is hearing increasingly complex statements and commands, and decoding and internalizing the sounds. Okay? Chalet tosh wana le lakot tosh malakota chawa hishni hane lenan wugla kablene kas nach und chetze le tuitona wana makha kawa hishni hane le hana chet nach asale the woman's roles, the men's roles. I had to set a le ekat from salet. Troshwa kanjon rio hak te hata wokyakap. Chale hanes troshka het chuhana chet wana I taichu ki iglusak. Wana leta unas we wanji snehani wana le babelak le hikte. Chale han wokyakap hata nach unan chet. Nicht nach dem Kilo ab in der Chet. Is erst little erst na in Hakashi wow. Peter Troka had chance na parenting up last new. The nice na his new work. All that Chalene honey na words on the Chet. But Chalet takum ni het on the Trahash to Anglesa. Anan ropta poe, han iya poe. On the Toksha wat wana iya oyaki hat hoyan wana lawakte. So you listen first, then if you speak, then you speak it. Then you worry about reading and then the writing part. Today we really need, I think I talked about this before, we really need to have Lakota speakers as teachers who are qualified, certified, and all because of this reading and writing. Like today, when I do these stories, if I take a story and I put it, I write it into the English language, just take whatever I can. The highlights, or sometimes if it's a short story, I'll take the whole thing, and then I'll type it up into the English with the source. And then I translate that story into Lakota. And then this is where, as Lakota teachers, maybe some of us will write a word like this or like that, and maybe we'll have disagreements. So this is where we really need, speakers, teachers, who are really into those two words again, commitment and persevere, so that we can do these right. We have to do it right. And the reason I say this is because today, if you look in the internet, and today they're using this method called Promethean. In there, if you look up, what is out there in Lakota teaching, and sometimes you find things in there that are not spelled right, and are things that are not right. So that is why we need to have these people, so that whatever we do, has to be right, because someday these young students will look into that computer, they'll look up and click on, say, Horny Peak. Why do we visit Horny Peak? I'm going to talk about that later on too before I leave. And then it'll tell you why we do these things, why we have, as Lakota, we are at this place at a certain time, because we are connected with the universe. And some of you out there, I'm not really into that, but it's very interesting. And those things have to be right. And I have seen some things that are not right. That's why I want to get into that. And it's okay, because it's a start. I'm not saying that it's bad. As long as we try, we need to keep positive encouragements and make these things right, so that someday, 10 years from now, 20 years from now, when someone looks into this computer and looks up the Lakota language, our culture, there's things in our culture that these things will be told right, spelled right, sources are right. And that's, that is why I'm saying this. So this very, very short piece of this total physical response. And this total physical response is the one that I tried, the one that the lady that wrote this, the very first method, the lesson plan is like maybe use 4 words. Maybe put a chair in the middle of the room and have one of the students sit there. Here, that's iotaka, and that's sit. And then you say inaji yo, and then that student will stand up. Mani yo, and then that student will start walking. Inaji yo, student will stop. Igiluho mani yo, student will turn around. Yurata yo, student will wave. Ho, iotaka yo, student will sit down. So you use like 4 or 5 words there, but they're all action words. And they're not just words, they're thoughts. Once you add that yo in there, inaji yo, it's a thought. It's not just a word, it's a sentence. And then use, another one was ichu and egenaka. Ichu wo, egenaka yo, epata yo. And then, so those 3 words, ichu is pick up, egenaka means to put it down, touch means to, epatra means to touch. So you use those 3 words and put that child into action. And those words will stay with them by doing the action. That is total physical response. And a person can add words as they go along every day until they learn these words, so that like down the line, all of a sudden you can say, Joe, and then he'll come over here and say, and he'll sit down at the chair. Joe, and then Joe will stand up. Joe, then Joe will come over here and touch the book, like that. And then he will be moving around, he will be using action to like learning. And that is total physical response. And it's fun. People, they actually have fun. You get everybody involved in there. And I thought I would touch on that and maybe create some waves, and maybe I will have some feedback. I know my nephew probably tried it, and, because he uses different methods too. And I really like his classroom. It's really, when you walk in there, it really brings teaching Lakota. It makes it really interesting. So that is total physical response. If you have any questions, give me a call. here at KILI Radio, 867-5002. Leave a message, and I'll be glad to call, and maybe we can share again. And I know all of you are really good. Everybody that teaches the Lakota language, they are serious, they are committed, and they have that little word called persevere. I know my wife teaches Lakota language. Sometimes she sits there till 11 o'clock at night doing lesson plans. And she also teaches culture. And she's really into this kind of subject. And really, it's really good. And before I run out of time, I'm going to talk about something here. And I mentioned that as Lakota people, we, every long time ago, before we have these calendars, I wonder how we tell the full moon, how many days between full moon, and they count that as 1 month. And they all know the time of the year, where they're at, and then they go to different places. They visit the sacred Black Hills, and they have some, today we have some sacred sites. And just so happens that this coming Sunday is March 21. Okay, on March 21, it's going to be a full moon, and it's going to be called equinox. During these times, the Lakota, they go to one of these sacred sites and they offer prayers. And this weekend, on March 21, is the equinox. It's called the this is when we go to Honey Peak. Honey Peak in Lakota is called Hihankaha. And they go over there and they pray, they take offerings. And today they take, maybe sometimes you see school buses over there. And then go up there, climb it, pray. And that's after that. Now, there's a little term that they use today. It's called "Welcome Back to Thunder." It doesn't mean that the thunder went away and they're coming back. It's just a thought that they use to pray. Okay, and so they're always here. But after Sunday, you're going to be hearing thunder. After that. That's why they call it Welcome Back to Thunder. So this weekend, it'll be Honey Peak, one of the sacred sites. And this is done when the spring, the equinox. Now, when equinox, they call it equinox because I'm not really into the solar system, but that's when the sun and the earth are aligned and that the night and day are equal. Chayhani lena Lakota keha le hihanka gahit chaya no wachekya le wahehan yani henachin slalap hechaya no Lakotya no Lakota wogalaka no wachekya no wait hanke otikhike zenangla ab هنا ويتش يكخب هنا هت خوش نكوهل هتا أكي ويامنكي ها وهيش June 21st lit وهيهانيش summer solstice up وهيهانيش ويوان واتشبهية وهتيا إنه هي أكي equinox وهي September 21st. Hey, no, hela ke wanietu ke ha keho. Winter solstice. Okay. Chahe topa. Hela ke taku topa apki he waji. Chahe, that is why the number 4 is very important in our culture. Because things happen in 4s, and this happens to be one of them. 2 equinox and 2 solstice. 2 plus 2 is 4. Okay. So this weekend is the equinox, and people will be visiting Honey Peak to pray and welcome back the thunder. Okay. And then, before I forget, last week was the girls' basketball, and when Toshka and I, we usually touch on schools and sports, and I wish Tom was here because I was going to ask him something. Okay, we have, tomorrow is the first day of the boys' state tournaments, and I wanted to congratulate. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, there's 5 teams from the west area that are going to the state tournament. 3 of them will be at the State A in Sioux Falls. Tomorrow, I don't know, KILI Radio will probably, I don't know if Tom's going to announce Crow Creek, I don't know. But Crow Creek, they don't get KILI. But tomorrow, Crow Creek will be playing the very first game, the Crow Creek Chieftains. They will be playing Madison. I believe Madison is the number 1 team. Then the second game is Winner. They will be playing McCook Central. And then St. Thomas More Cavaliers will be playing Sioux Valley. First game in the evening. So I want to wish them all well, good tidings, well, I don't know. Play good. And then we have, don't forget now, we have the White River Tigers in the Class B. They will be playing at 1 p.m. tomorrow. White River's been there before a couple times. They won the whole thing, I think, once. The Faith Longhorns will be over there tomorrow evening at 8:45. They will be playing Trip Belmont. So I want to say, let the best team win, and always remember sportsmanship. Sportsmanship is very important. And we always teach our children. And I have a story here that I shared a couple of times called Woshkate. Woshkate is game. There's 8 teams, and tomorrow after 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock tomorrow evening, 4 of them will lose. 4 of them will win. Someone always wins and someone always loses. And when you lose, it's kind of hard. When you win, you're happy. But we always teach our children long time ago that these games teach you character and a good person. Always. And respect. So I hope they all have a good game. It's always next year too. Okay, right now it's getting close to 5 o'clock, and when we come up here, we always touch on the Lakota language because we have a show on Saturdays, and that is called Lakota Yawicho. And we talk Lakota because some people learn, some people just like to listen, some people like to hear our humor because we are, as Lakota, we are humorous. And then some people just learn Tokishke, Lakota thought. That's hard. I always have trouble with that Lakota thought. There is Lakota thought. And there is Washichi thought. So, if you're traveling tonight, I was just coming back from Rapid City this afternoon. I saw a couple deers on the road. When you run into a deer, it's really hard. Sometimes you'll mess up your car. So be careful. There's deer out there. And have a real good evening. And we shall see you again next week. And next week maybe my nephew will be up here and we will talk about Lakota language, maybe another story, and maybe some sports. And also I want to say to the Wounded Knee students, no school this week, but Monday will be school. So have fun, have a safe weekend, and everybody out there have a safe weekend. And, Denver March Powwow is Friday. I think grand entry is at 1 o'clock and 7 o'clock. And I think, I don't know, I talked to my wife about the Denver March Powwow today, and we might be heading that way, I don't know. So Saturday, if I'm not here, my Lakshi will be here. He will be here Saturday. So if you're listening this evening, have a good evening, and we will see you next week. And thank you to KILI Radio. Hel Yalo.